Hey, just trying out another way to make videos, this time on my laptop, and I think I've figured out how I can save them and upload them to Patreon. So I'm excited about that, just giving it a try. Plus, I was just thinking about something, and I thought, oh, I want to talk to people about this one. And it has to do with those behaviors that we might call signal behaviors, or the kind of the behaviors that are precursors to other behaviors. And we have to get really good at noticing them. And I'll tell you the example of and why it came to mind. Last night I was working with a Saint Bernard, but I think I think it's really it's a terrier in a Saint Bernard body. Really nice dog, really nice dog. Bites people, but a really nice dog. But it had very clear conditions as to when she would bite, and it had to do when people moved away, legs moving by her. Really, sort of, if you think about it, and you've ever worked with little terriers, you sort of can envision these little dogs that go for the legs of your pants and things like that. But this is a Saint Bernard, so it's a big dog. And she has landed bites, and she has broken skin, and it's made people the owners kind of anxious and concerned about it, as well they should be, and rightly so. So I was working with the dog, and so long I sat there, and I was really happy that I knew that information, that this was a dog who, had this inclination, was triggered by legs moving. So I was really careful. And while I was talking to the owners about how I work and what I do, and the dog is sort of what dogs do when I show up. And I have, always have good food, and they sit there or they do whatever they do. This one would sit there, kind of paw me. So I thought, well, okay, let's do something else. And that way I can show the owners sort of how, if you reinforce a behavior, you're going to start to get it. So I got the dog into a down and, kept showing them the rate of reinforcement, how much I needed to feed the dog to keep it down. And then I sort of got a little duration onto it. And I thought, okay, now I'm going to see if I can stand up and start to show them how we would start to introduce distractions. And it occurred to me that the distraction of walking around the dog would involve legs moving around the dog. So I got up and I took a step and returned to place and fed the dog, took a step, returned to, moved right foot, then left foot, then left foot, then right foot, and then fed the dog and did it again. So it went right foot, left foot, right foot, fed the dog. Perfect, beautiful, looked good. I thought, okay, let me try to add a little step to it. So this time, and I didn't really think it through as to what it was going to look like, but it just sort of what makes sense. So I stepped, and then I took this foot to go take another step, right? I was going to add another step. So that was one step in my mind, and then this was going to be step number 2. Well, as soon as I started to move that leg, I saw the dog as I was looking down on her, and I saw her just a little, can't do it myself, just a little teeny tiny little lip raise, and it was something that you might miss or not really think about if you didn't know, oh, right, this dog bites legs that are moving. Good thing I saw that. And so I went back and I thought about it a little bit more, and I thought, it didn't bite me, did everything it was supposed to do as I moved. And so I changed it up a little bit. I tried not to move as much, and I did some variations on it to see, how I could move that leg without getting the lip raise. But I got it every time. And I thought, okay, well, that's the first step that they're going to have to work on, is we're going to have to figure out how we can start making different movements and eliminate that little lip raise, because that's the only thing that is a sort of an indication to me of what's coming, of how this dog, where behavior is going to go if we're not careful. So we need to figure out how we can get movement and get rid of that altogether. Because, in and of itself, it wasn't a problem. The dog could raise its lip all at once. It's not hurting me. But it was sort of an indication of, well, where the behavior might go to. And that's the thing that we always have to be thinking about when we're working with dogs, whether they're reactive and aggressive or whether they're fearful and, kind of shut down or try to flee to get away from, us, is we're always looking for those behaviors that give us a heads up as to what might be coming, because that's the place where we want to be working, right? We want to work there, because if we wait, if we continue and it goes from a lip raise to a snap or an actual bite, it's going to be harder. It's harder to fix. It's going to be harder to change, and that's, if we think about that, if we're already in a place where the behavior is so, I want to say sort of out of control, but to describe it, sort of the dog is, I can use other language that isn't really very, very descriptive, but the dog's going bonkers, right? It's sort of like when you're so upset about something and somebody comes over to you and says, calm down. You're like, I'm not calming down, right? Or if somebody's upset and you shove them, what's likely to happen? There's a really good chance you're going to see more and more escalation in that behavior, and it's going to go somewhere we don't want it to go. So I just thought I'd talk about these kind of signal behaviors, because if what sometimes happens with people is they're trying to get too much, and they need to stop where they are. And they might say, well, but I told the dog to do this, or, and it's not doing it. It's like, quit while you are ahead. Take what you got, use that behavior, right? I could live forever if I trained the dog to just lift its lip when people walked by. That would be perfectly fine, but I'm not sure that, that's going to happen. What I'm likely to see happen is I'm likely to see the behavior escalate unless I'm really, really careful. So my goal for that behavior and for these owners is we're going to figure out how we can start introducing movement in front of this dog's face, which typically is what's sort of evoking that behavior, and what we need to do. Maybe we need to add distance. Maybe I need to make it even a little bit less. Even maybe I just lift my foot before I do any movement. We maybe decrease the duration of time. There's all of these things that we're going to figure out and have to think about so that we don't actually end up escalating and basically training another behavior, reinforcing another behavior that we don't want, or feeling like, oh, I can't let them do that. That's bad. Right? Which happens a lot too. People are like, well, now I've got to punish that behavior because they can't let them get away with that. So anyway, that's what I just wanted I thought I'd tape that and stick this up there and see how it goes. All right. Thanks.